They say that there are 3 levels of conversation. Level 1 is when people talk about other people. Level 2 is when people talk about events. There's nothing wrong with either of those, but this is Level 3 Studio. Level 3 is when people talk about ideas and what is possible. Welcome to Level 3 Studio, aka Chef Jay's Kitchen, aka the Innovator's Oasis, where the questions feed your mind, the food feeds your body, and the experience, without a doubt, feeds your soul. Let's take a toast. Cheers. Ooh. Number 20, which is unbelievable. Oh, wow. I'm so happy all of you are here. God is good. Salute, 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 everyone. Cheers. Okay, sitting around the table, we have, let me save the fire for last on here. Cymone, to my right, writer, educator, entrepreneur, youth advocate. To her right, Ashli, marketing specialist, Black excellence, baby, gotta let him see. That's my quote, not hers. I truly, truly, truly believe a very important voice for young Black millennials in Kansas City. I really believe so. To my left, Kerry, director of video production and content of, you gotta LinkedIn him to see, or IMDb him to find out. And then to his left, Joey, owner of the Joey Cuts brand. As you can see on his shirt, he is running for councilman in the 3rd District. Citizens for Joey. To his right, Chef Jay, father, entrepreneur, community leader. Chef Jay was voted best chef of Kansas City. That's a phenomenal feat. Yeah. 22 years old. He's ended it off with saying father, entrepreneur, community leader. So I'm just super, super duper pumped that you all are here. And we'll get right rolling into segment 1, practical and tactical. What is it that you spend your time doing?
My name is Cymone Davis, and I actually teach at Washington High School through an organization called Kansas City, Kansas, KCK, the dot. And I teach through an organization called JAG-K, which stands for Jobs for America's Graduates, Kansas. And that is the practicality of my day. However, I am like this secret, cover entrepreneur who's waiting to bust out and show her cape and be a superwoman for Kansas City and for students across the metropolitan area. And so
I'm gonna jump right in.
All right.
What is the work of a young Black woman working in Wyandotte County?
Ooh, I would say changing the culture, changing the influence, showing young Black men and women, teenagers, what a Black woman could look like, what we could invest in, how we can visualize ourselves than the norm or what they typically see. And so last year we actually started an organization at Washington, and I didn't come up with the name, but it's called Pink Alpha. And the reason I said I didn't come up with the name because I am in a sorority, so I'm a AKA Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and the whole purpose of Pink Alpha is mentorship. It's peer mentorship. And so, being that light, being that influence that they normally may not see around themselves.
All right. So my name is Ashli Harris. I guess practically I am the marketing lead at Talifron Brown Engineering Firm. Shout out to TMB. One of the top 25 engineering firms in the city. That's Kansas City Business Journal. That's not my own opinion. But, yeah, right. So I spend my day from about 8:30 to about 5:30, sometimes 7, sometimes 8, sometimes 9. It just depends on when they need me, considering it is a Black-owned firm, 100% Black-owned. And I feel like I have a responsibility to help make sure that company thrives, even after leadership decides to retire, which I don't think they will ever do. But that's kind of what I do 9 to 5. Now, after that 9 to 5, I spend my day trying to figure out how to be rebellious to societal standards. Ironically, we were just having a conversation. I tried to figure out how to go against what you're supposed to do. So for me, you're not supposed I guess being a girl that comes from a single parent household, a dad that really was never there and now is deciding to be there, now that I'm 26. But I spend my day trying to figure out how to not be a statistic. I spend my day trying to figure out how to continue to be my authentic, raw, organic self and still be successful and still be an entrepreneur and still be able to touch lives and still be able to feel like I'm the next Michelle Obama without having to be the type of Michelle Obama that you see on the screen. So I think...
So are you referring to like impact?
Like image, right? So like image, right? What you're supposed to do at 26 or how you're supposed to be as a black woman or how you're supposed to be as a professional. Like, I spend my day trying to figure out how to go against that. Because to me, my attitude now is expect the unexpected. Not to bring politics in this, but like nobody expected Trump to win and he won, right? Nobody expected a black president, but he won, right? Nobody expected, these young, there's like entrepreneurs, right? That are like 8 years old. Nobody expects that, right? So I spend my time trying to identify what I can do to be the next unexpectation. So that's me.
Is there any like particular thing that you're pushing against, any narrative or identity that you're pushing against?
That you can be in a position of power and be young, to be honest. That you can be in a position of power and have been in trouble in the past. That you can, like, I get tired of the whole, because you're a millennial, you have to pay your dues first before you're able to make a real impact. I'm so sick of that. Carrie knows I'm sick of it. So I spend my time trying to go against that. Because I just don't believe that that's the way anymore.
So, I mean, currently, I spend a lot of my time doing my best to become a better father, become a better partner in life. I have 3 children. All 3 of my children are with the same woman. We're not married. But we are doing our best to figure life out together. We're doing our best to learn forgiveness. We're doing our best to learn how to work together. We're doing our best to learn how to grow together, because that's important. I think in society today, we live in a society where stuff like marriage is just not respected. I mean, if you kind of turn on the TV, whatever show you watching, all you really see that's really marketed is drama, whether it be broken homes, broken families, broken marriages, broken lifestyles, broken parenting. That's what makes money, So how do we work against that? And even if that's not our destiny per se, how do we still find that silver lining? I spend a lot of my time on that now because I feel like a lot of the things that I've been doing career-wise, I'm not going to say I hit the ceiling or that I'm tired of it, but I guess the best way I can say it is that for the last 16 plus years, I've been a licensed barber. For the last 23 plus years, I've been cutting hair passionately. And for over 10 years now, I've been in business ownership. Throughout business ownership, I've been able to create things like the No Joey Foundation, which is a foundation that's focused on young men, and entrepreneur development is our primary focus. But that thing it's grown organically so big, and it's grown. It's just grown to where, we work with men young and old. We used to focus on 64130 zip code because 10 years ago when we started it, 64130 zip code had the highest crime, murder, and prison rate in the whole state of Missouri. From outside looking in, it just seemed like it really didn't have any hope. 10 years ago, we opened up a shop called Joey Cuts Barber Salon. It was on the corner of 39th and Indiana. 39th Indiana is it's kind of like the heartbeat of 641. 39th Street is kind of like the heartbeat of 64130. You got Prospect, Indiana, and a few other blocks that people just they just kind of just overlooked. And as a matter of fact, I think HBO had a special about 39th and Prospect once before, just about the crime rates and all kind of different stuff. Well, fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I grew up on 42nd and Bell Fountain, which was 3 blocks over, 3 blocks down, from 39th, Indiana, and I was a product of my environment. You know what I mean? I was truly a product of my environment, and because I was on the inside looking out, I guess I just never really paid attention to the stats. I never really believed in them saying that we was just this bad community, this bad area, because I grew up in an era where, you know, we was okay to walk to school. You know, we knew somebody on the block that was selling candy, that, you know, you can stop over somebody's house to get something to eat. You knew on the block you had to respect your neighbors and respect your elders. My parents got my mother, because my father was killed when I was 2, but my mother gave permission, you know, to everybody within our area, within a several block radius. Everybody had permission to whoop our butt, because I'm the youngest of 2 oldest brothers, and
7 block radius.
You can get pretty far and still get your ass whooped.
You know, to say the least, because so my great grandpa, who was kind of like one of my first male figures or figures of a man, he was a preacher, he was a pastor. And he had a church, Second Missionary Baptist Church on the corner of 43rd and Jackson. And he was a pastor, and everybody knew him. Yeah. So, you know, I grew up in the era where family and community meant something. I just really, man, I was excited to come here because majority of me just wanted to say, not only to be a part of what you're creating, but to just encourage you to keep going. You know what I mean? To keep doing your thing, man. And we ain't never met. I don't owe you nothing. You ain't never got a haircut. None of that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to say keep going. And even with all seriousness, you put on there that Kerry was going to be here, and Kerry probably think I'm giving him crap when I say this, but, you know what I'm saying, Kerry is somebody that I admire, you know, and regardless of him being younger than me, I really admire Kerry, and I look up to him a lot for what you do, you know what I'm saying, because, yes, I met Kerry years ago when he first came to Kansas City, and to see his growth, to see him not only grow as an individual, but also as a businessman, but more importantly, the dopest thing to me is to see him grow as a family man. You know what I mean? I know his wife. I know a lot of his wife's friends. You know, I know a lot of people that Kerry know. And I'm just proud of you, bro. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, when I was like, okay, Kerry gonna be there, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm definitely gonna be there. You know what I mean? But this is what I do it for, man. I mean, I just hope that. Because I ain't too far off when I say that, you know, at the end of the day, I hope I go to heaven. And I hope that when I make it to heaven, you know what I'm saying, that God's going to be like, Joey, job well done.
Right. Citizens for Joey.
Citizens
for Joey.
God bless you, Joey.
Man, I don't even know. Right.
You ain't got to one take. Just so you know.
Man, it's over. Chef J, get the plate. Chef J, where the plate? Wow. I got to go send somebody to get some cognac. Wow.
All right.
Something.
That's his opening remarks.
I don't know how I follow up after that.
No, for real. Once again, boom.
You can lift. You pull it up.
I can.
Boom.
All right, man. You got me feeling like Kevin Hart. Anyways, you remember when we had that talk like a few weeks ago before you went to Paris? Man, this dude went to Paris, dude. I'm trying to be like him.
I'm still
but
you know.
Just last night, what you are doing is like one of the greatest things ever. Mm-hmm. And you can't stop doing what you do. Mm-hmm. You can't stop. I know. You know I'm not going to stop. You know I'm not. But really.
I know, right? I'm
but what you're doing, honestly, is great. And just what he said, he's never met you. Mm-hmm. But he already knew. That internal battle that you're dealing with, mm-hmm. We want you here. We need you here. Mm-hmm. We need somebody like you here that can gather the people and bring this conversation to life.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you, big
Amen.
Yeah.
All this
all right. All that being said,
yeah.
That's true.
Kerry for the kill.
Now.
I don't even know where to go. I don't know what to do.
I have to follow that entire.
It's tough. It's really tough. It's really
It's tough.
like, yeah. You got to intro me back in with what we. Yeah, that life sermon, bro. I was like, I am the director of video production and content over at Strange Music. That's a job that I currently hold. Years ago, I used to be a club promoter, a club manager. I used to also own a bar in Warrensburg. I've had several ownership percentages in venues here as well. I end up, kind of shifting my craft over to video production at the age of 27. And it was something that was really, brand new to me. Something I had never done. I had done like theater in high school and, took some theater classes in college. My degree is in criminal justice, political science. So obviously those are two different total spectrums. I spent most of my younger years just trying to figure out what life was, and kind of going along with what the party was at that time, and just making money because, our generation was, taught to just make money. You know what I'm saying? And I had a child very early, 23, before I graduated college, like right as we were graduating. So I had this impulse to make sure that I made money because I wanted to make sure that my child was taken care of. One of the things that I do a lot is I practice intense reality. If you talk to me, and we've had, decent conversations in depth, me and Joey have as well. Anyone that has talked to me, I practice, very intense reality because I feel like one of the things that you must sharpen, almost like the muscles in your body is your brain. And a lot of people don't do that because they don't really pay attention to it. They don't think about it from that standpoint. But I practice intense realism because I feel that if you can really have a keen eye and a keen mind for everything that's going on around you, you won't get complacent. And that's one of the things that my father was always on me about. Was he would always be like, hey, you're getting too complacent doing this. And I used to get frustrated as a younger guy, being like, damn, like, he's really like pressing me about, everything's cool. You know what I'm saying? But he would always be like, 2 months from now, what are you gonna do if everything turns upside down? And those are like the realest comments that he's ever given to me, because every time he said that, true enough, things really like turned upside down. So I spend a lot of time outside of video production just kind of, doing mind exercises and really just seeing seeing things for what they really are. Video production is my lane. Right now, currently, I have 9 employees at Strange Music. We handle everything that you see visually for Tech Nine and every other artist that's on the Strange Music label. I also handle some independent production as well. I've placed some projects in the BET and Viacom Film Festival. I've placed some things on Amazon Prime. I've placed some things on KCPT currently, obviously. You were there for that one. I have some really big projects coming in 2019. So at this point, I'm just more working on my 20,000 hours of producing. My team and myself have produced over 1 billion views on YouTube. So that's a really big accomplishment. And I'm really proud of those guys, because I wouldn't be who I was, who I am currently if it wasn't for the team that, I have together right now. So I'm not, a lot of people think that, I meet a lot of people and they're like, oh man, you the shit, you know what I'm saying? And like, you on top, this, that, and the third. But like I said, like, I was always taught like, oh, you got to put in 10,000 hours to do something. Well, now I'm working on 20,000 hours because I feel like at 10,000 hours, you know what you're doing. 20,000 hours, I really want to know what I'm doing, and you take it all the way up to 100,000 hours until I can actually perfect the craft that I'm doing. And I've only been doing it for 5.5 years, and I'm nowhere near perfect. So, at this point, I'm striving for perfection in video production, and the plan would obviously be to place multiple projects on OTTs, kind of like an Ava DuVernay. Or Shonda Rhimes, those are people that I really look up to. Those are people that the grind that I'm watching right now in this new atmosphere of content creation. Those are the people that are leading the way. And those are the people that I'm actually, I'm using for motivation, to say that, okay, you pressing the gas on the pedal right now is not wrong. And when I first started, I came up under a lot of people that were in the game for, 20 plus years that were used to normal film production, which takes months, and sometimes years. And now I'm watching a lot of, up and coming younger guys, and women as well. Women are doing a lot of, they're trailblazing in film. Yes. They're killing, I'm watching them do this, and I'm just applying what I see to my craft. I take a little bit from everybody, just to make sure that everything that I do, when I finally put everything out the way I want it, is just 100% full circle.
And Ashli, that you made me think about this is what does it mean to be professional?
I think with professionalism and like quote unquote fitting in is that there's still a sense of authenticity within myself, that even if I walk and talk, like I grew up in Blue Springs in a 2-parent household. We never struggled. I never, was the woman who really got told by everybody in the neighborhood that I would never be nothing. Like, like even if I grew up in like a different environment, like I'm still Ashli, right? Like, and you will never know my you will never know, right? But I still have a sense of authenticity about myself where it's like, yes, I'm still professional, and but I'm me. Right. And if you can't, so it's kind of like, it's ironic that I had this conversation because I had this same exact conversation right before Black Friday with a friend of mine, and we talked about this code switching thing, and it being kind of like, should you code switch in at work, right? And I kind of got tired of that. Like, the reason why I'm staying at my job that I'm at now, the reason why I'm able, like, I love being at Talifrell Brown is because, like, engineering, like, first of all, politics, engineering, architect, that's a very conservative industry. Mm-hmm. But I'd be damned if I have to, like, change who I am to fit that narrative. I refuse.
Don't you work for an all-black firm?
No, I work for a black-owned firm. It's different. And all black, it's different.
Like, why you going switching that word?
So I work.
Don't you think that most of the people that are calling you guys out, and this is me coming from like someone who works in the entertainment industry where that's not even a concern of mine, but don't you think that most of the people that are calling you out about that don't understand what you have to deal with on a daily basis? You know what I mean? So at that point, like, I think it's almost irrelevant for you to try to combat that with them, because I think if you were to have a conversation with somebody who's black that's like, yo, you code switching, you ain't real, or whatnot, at this point, I was always taught there's a time and a place for everything with certain people. You know what I'm saying? And like you just said, you just brought up a great point, was that, well, you quote unquote have to code switch with some of them, meaning us. So that means that there are professional black people that grew up in the hood that may have come from, disadvantaged or disenfranchised situations that not necessarily want to even be involved with that. And they're going to look at you from a different standpoint if you are, you come in and you Ashli from the block opposed to being, Ashli that's the account manager.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't know where and what a time frame where it happened, but I always thought that the thing was to make it out of the hood, not keep the hood cracking. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just being 100% honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up, my parents didn't have college degrees. Right. You know what I'm saying? My dad didn't even graduate high school. You know what I'm saying? And that was something that I had to realize, like going to college, like when I actually walked the stage, like looking at this dude, who spent 7 years in federal penitentiary, that put his only son through college, like how happy he was. And then when it came down to like, well, yeah, I'm gonna come back to St. Louis, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna hit the club, blah, 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 and see the disappointment in his face. So I would love for somebody that asks you to not code switch to have a conversation with this felon. You know what I'm saying? Because in his mind, like, you better code switch, take care of them kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is. Because if I walk into a Sony, or if I walk into a Warner Brothers, if I walk into a Universal, trust me, I'm not speaking block language like most of these cats see on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? They think that everything's super hood, blah, blah, blah. But I guarantee you, P from QC, when he go meet with them people from Universal, he ain't Q from Instagram.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think that that's a cultural problem that you
But
guys deal with right now because of what's portrayed on social media.
What you're talking about, what we're experiencing right now, even in this session, it's like we are the example.
Yeah.
And since I work, you talk about the battlefield, you know, we're in the schools. You know, I teach 11th and 12th grade, but there was 2 fights today, even in the main office. It wasn't even like in the hallway. And so when we talk about code switching, being the example, these students need to see it's not being fake if you want to be we talk about this word, this coded language about professional, but it's not being fake if you have to like put on a dress, put on your heels and speak a certain way to get to where you want to go.
For me to be in a position to where I basically manage the marketing efforts for Tyler Film Brown, work at one of the top engineering firms in the city, like working on huge projects, and to like be in a position to where I'm really focused on making sure that I brand myself for the 2019 year to start my own business as it relates to marketing and really go forward with it. And to be that girl, but people don't know, like, I was the girl that literally was fighting. Like, I got kicked out of Crispus Attucks. Like, I got kicked out of every school I ever went to. I got stabbed. Like, people don't know that. Because I'm not about to just go around.
Do you think though, like,
broadcasting
like,
it, right?
but is
But
it a
the
story that
kids-
you want to tell?
But not exactly. But I kind of feel like when I walk back into the hallways of Hogan, where I graduated high school, and I talk to them, they don't relate to somebody who is in a dress and like completely professional. It's almost like, if you never struggled, how do you really understand my struggle? And how can you be the individual to tell me that I can be professional? And to be able to relate to them, like I was able to touch one young girl who was like, okay, like I see what you're saying, because I was relatable. So that's what I mean by professional. I'm professional to this particular diverse demographic. I have the ability to touch her. Like, there's someone that I grew up with, and he kind of went in a different direction. You know, like, he has a degree, but he decided, again, to go in a different direction. But I, out of everyone else, am the only one that's able to touch him and say, look, man, like, we need to get to the shmoney, okay? And the way you doing it, it really ain't no longevity in that. It ain't sustainable about that. Like, you want kids, like we need to figure out how to get them in. It's not necessarily taking them, quote unquote, out the hood, but it's exposing them to a better lifestyle. Like, I would never say, because there were things that I learned in the hood that some of these professional cats, I'd be like, you don't understand that? Like, that certain level of common sense, I'd be like, you don't get that? Like, I can spot, like, BS, like corporate BS is no different from hood BS. Like,
no, not at all.
Like, you can see it, and I'm like, so you finessing me right now.
Yeah.
It's just their vocabulary is a little bit more extensive than those individuals from the hood. But if I take that same concept back to individuals that grew up in the hood, that still have that hood mentality, and say, look, this Fortune 500 dude and y'all the same person. The only difference is he finessing to get millions. You finessing to get dollars. Well, you want to be a millionaire or you want to be a dollaraire. Professional is different for a diverse set of groups. Yeah. But you can touch one. Right. You can touch each group. But are you relatable enough to touch that group?
There's a huge like social issue with it. You know what I'm saying? Like just hearing that you can go back to high school and wearing a dress, and I'm pretty sure they're like, yo, like, you kind of corny. Right. You know what I'm saying? But then they see a chick pull up like in a one piece, you know what I'm saying, some $900 heels, you know, and the lease whip, they like, she on. Mm-hmm. And it's hard, like, it's an uphill battle right now that we're dealing with our culture to fight that, because you really want to touch those young children out there. How do you do that when the content that they're consuming on social media tells you that these people are successful? Because I don't necessarily think I think the word we're touching on, professional, means something to a degree of, education for the people that are sitting around this table. But professional doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's not a hot button anymore. It's successful.
Yes.
And success is based off perception now.
Yes.
So now that success is based off perception, you coming in with an actual job, working at, a firm, having longevity in the job, these people don't see that as successful, because that's not money stacked up right here that I can show other people I have.
Quick cash.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that's I think that's the issue. And so you have to look at that from a realistic standpoint and be like, okay, well, what can I do? And I don't even necessarily have the answer to this, but what can I do to show them that, actually putting time and effort into educating myself will make me successful.
And what the word I use now if I'm speaking to my students, who I'm speaking to, is talented, because you can prove talent. Professional, you might just have a tie on. We think some professional, you might have a tie on. We don't know what they do, just walking down the street. Yeah. But talent, you got to prove talent. Right. So I say be talented today. Yeah. Show up and be talented today, because whatever it is to be, because then we can identify what does it mean to be talented. We can identify the skill sets, and then we can show progress.
Right. Because that's the crazy part you say that is because, like, I look like this 90% of the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even really trimmed like I really should be or whatnot. So I know you mad about that. But, so, you know what I mean? But I got to, right, But, yeah, like, I'm hoodie and a beanie a lot, and it's crazy, like, when I walk into spots, oh, yeah, easily. I'm... Once you prove your worth. Yeah, I'm 6'5", 280 pounds too. So like I didn't walk close. I didn't seen the I didn't seen it. I didn't got it. You know what I'm saying? And actually that's what's crazy is that happened.
For those who don't know, he locked the car door.
What's crazy about that is I had that situation happen to me not even a year ago with a casting agency here in Kansas City. I'm not gonna blast them. But I was at a place looking to rent a piece of equipment, and next door, the lady was in her office, and I read the sign. It was like, oh, casting agency. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, let me go ahead and drop off some business cards. And I yanked on the door, and she's like staring. We're making eye contact. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, you gonna let me in? Like, yo, you gonna let me in? And she like, nah. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, okay, cool. Because at this point, I've been this way for 34 years, so I already know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, cool. So this guy comes up to the door. He opens the door. He's like, can I help you? And I'm like, hey, I saw you guys were a casting agency. And he goes, oh, well, we're not feeling any, I forgot what the phrase is. Yeah, something he used. And I said, actually, well, I'm not here to, apply. I'm a producer, a video producer. And he goes, oh, really? Where? So I hand him my card, and he goes, oh, come on in. I go, no. Email me. Email me when you got time. So I got so sorry, like, this is, like, super apologetic, and I asked him to come to lunch and meet me, you know what I'm saying? And I told her, I said, what you did is crazy, because I could change your life.
And here's the thing I want to ask you, got right to it. Do you feel the need to have that conversation with people?
What conversation?
I like the visual reaction. I like it. What
conversation? What could be seen as like correcting someone. Do you feel the need to correct people?
Not anymore.
Because I think, okay.
Not anymore. I used to feel, and this is just me personally. I used to be on this mission to, walk down this whole line of like, correcting the wrongs, and with everything, like as far as like, who was involved, what was said, how they said it, I'm gonna correct all y'all, like, and even as it, goes from race to personal issues to even just, street gossip. But I think when it gets to a point, you know, where when you done won, man, when you done won so much, you know what I'm saying, and you
He said, over and over.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro, when you on the court all the time, I use this analogy all the time. Like, I'm on the court playing every day. You know what I'm saying? This ain't weekends for me. You know what I'm saying? This ain't Wednesday nights for me at the church. This is every day. When I wake up every day, I'm competing. You know what I'm saying? I get out there and I ball. And if it's cool for you on Instagram,
You don't feel like you have a point to prove.
nah.
Yeah.
For what? For what? Because
That's ironic.
you know what I'm saying? Moments
feel
moments like this is like, you know, sitting here with Joey, like I said, I met him 9 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And for you to be like, yo, I'm proud of the progression that you've had over the 9 years means you've been watching me.
Because he's really seen the progression.
Yeah, he's seen it. And if you've been watching me, I know everybody else been watching. So that's something that's in the back of the head at this point. And I don't necessarily do it for you to be proud. I do it for me.
I've been sort of privileged in that area because I'm a business owner. You know, I've been a business owner for over 10 years. And over 10 years, I done got very comfortable. Saying, you know, or being comfortable within my own element. And now here I find myself taking things to the next level. I know we kind of mentioned it earlier, but in April 2019, I'm running for 3rd District Councilman. You know, I plan to be the next 3rd District Councilman. I plan to have a seat on the council board. I plan to do my due diligence within my city. I plan to serve my community as well as my district. Code switching. It's interesting to say the least. You know, at the end of the day, let me set this down gently again. So, on purpose, you know, I feel like this image is needed in today's time. I don't feel like I'm needed per se. I feel like this vessel that God is working through is needed.
Like a servant.
You know, I feel like it's so needed in today's time. Normally, when you turn on channel 4, 5, 9, 41, or any news channel that for those that have cable, 3, 5, 6, or whatever. I'm 4, 5, 9, 41 type of guy. You know what I'm saying? When you watch, I do too.
Man, come on, Kerry.
I do too.
I got an antenna. I don't even have cable. I have an antenna. It was like 45-1, 42-2.
Right, straight up. So when you watch TV, when you watch news, this and that, especially when it comes to local things, dreadlocks, t-shirts, sweatpants, or jeans, tennis shoes, that's usually an image of a black male that's possibly either on their way to jail, just did something that's about to send them to jail, just got out of jail, or they're talking about jail for some reason using these type of images. They're usually talking about something that got to do with murder, crime, drugs, illegal activities, just whatever the case may be. I'm a firm believer that this next generation, you know, is so much more than what they give, you know, them credit for. I also believe that it's a huge disconnect in regards to, and I think Jayon was speaking on it just not too long ago. It's a huge disconnect from a lot of the gatekeepers and powers that be versus those that have the potential to be next. You know, who is helping translate the dialogue, the conversation that's needed in between what's needed, what's wanted, what's expected, and vice versa. My experience so far, being this 35-year-old black male, dreadlocks, comfortable within his skin, confident with what he's doing, community leader, positive guy, business owner, all this kind of, how does that person now become that political figure per se, that civic leader? And the number one question that I've been getting asked by a lot of people is, so are you gonna cut your hair? You know,
really, that's still a thing.
That's still the number one
Of
question that a lot of people because
Of course.
so and what a lot of people don't know is for the last 3-4 years, man, we do this event called Turkey Tuesday. We gather turkeys, non-perishables, all kind of different stuff for people in need. We do everything. We just celebrate our 11th annual. Shout out to everybody that helped support. definitely huge shout out to Kansas, man, because together between Missouri and Kansas, we were able to gather over 1,500 turkeys. You know what I mean? So when we do a whole lot, man, that's just 2 barbershops and 2 barbershop owners that was committed to making sure something happens for their community. So with all that being said, you know, for the last 4 years, the goal has been if we collect 2,000 turkeys, I was going to cut my hair. What people don't really know is that, you know, I'm looking at it like, you know, hair is hair. You know what I'm saying? I cut it, I just grow it back, or I wear a different style. I'm not really tripping, but what I'm trying to say is that for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been wanting to cut my hair. You know, but now here I find myself, you know, committed to doing this next thing, serving my community, going to this next level. I thought about, okay, should I cut my hair and then run, or should I cut my hair before I, you know, really take things seriously? And I thought about it, and believe it or not, I prayed on it. You know what I'm saying? And the only answer I got was, Joey, stay authentic. You know, stay authentic, stay yourself, because our young men and women need to see this. You know, they need to see, again, this image saying that, hey, it's okay to be this guy who may not have a college education. It's okay to be this guy who don't have all the latest Jordans or jewelry, don't have the latest car. It's okay to be a guy who truly just cares about reinvesting back into his community. It's okay to be this guy who don't have it all, don't know it. It's okay to be authentic and still give a damn. You know what I'm saying? Still care.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you something, Joe.
Yes.
So, kind of colliding these 2 conversations together about proving yourself. Do you feel as though you have to prove yourself when you are out in the community, when you are in front of a mic, who is not like you, you know, who is not, who are, because we talked about the diversity, but that's the diversity more so like with class and income. But what about race? What about, you know, again, how do you feel? Do you feel like a Kerry where you don't have to prove yourself? You're just like, I'm Joey for the block. You know, you're just going to get to know me regardless. Or are you feeling like, okay, I represent something where I have to, relate.
Like
or I have
intentionally
to understand.
trying to break that stigma.
Yeah. Exactly.
I would say I'm like at a 49-51 type of split going on. 51% of me would say it's needed, and I have to show this. I have to be that example. At the end of the day, my focus, you know, for the majority of my life has always been to help empower young men, to be that example. A huge part of that was because of my upbringing. You know, I mentioned it early in brief. My father was killed when I was 2 years old. You know, and to really dive into the dynamics of that, you're talking about a situation where I can't remember a smile, touch, laugh, giggle, image, nothing about a man that's supposed to be my leader, supposed to be the guy who I looked up to. My father was killed when he was 30 years old. You know what I mean? At 30 years old, he left behind a wife or widow and 3 young men, or 3 boys, you know, who at this point, I'm proud to say all 3 of us are business owners. All 3 of us never been to prison. All 3 of us take care of our families. All 3 of us give back to our communities. All 3 of us have, you know, took that situation, which is even deeper than what I'm saying, because our father, not only was he killed, he was killed by, you know, and I'm just addressing this because of today's climate and temperatures and situations. My father was not only killed by a white man, he was killed by a white cop. He was shot in the back of the head, and the cops was awarded medals for killing my father. You know, so how do you take that situation, not only from the standpoint of losing a father and something being robbed away from you, but also how do you still respect cops and the injustices and racism and whatever the case? How do you still find room to say, I want to do positive for my community? I want to be that guy. I want to be what helps connect those boundaries or those separations, or how do you still find that? You know what I mean? And again, that 51% of me is saying this image is needed to go against everything that I'm sure it's people out here that who probably knew my father was like, you know, the life that my father chose towards his latter years of living. They probably thought that his kids wouldn't amount to anything. They probably thought that his family wouldn't be anything, but not even knowing that, you know, in over 11 years, because my family makes up my board and my support system when it comes to foundation. But In 11 years, we have fed over 10,000 families within Kansas City. We have given over, 5,000 book bags. We've given over $10,000 in scholarships. Like, to be so involved in our community when we deal with a community who stripped away who robbed us of our father, who robbed us of our knowing of who we supposed to be.
I'm gonna push you. Mm-hmm. So again, like, how are you coming across, or what is that perception are you giving to those who don't look like you, especially because of your past? Like, right. How are you speaking to Congress and those who are trying to support you who don't look like you? Speaking from the heart. This whole political thing for me is new. Mm-hmm. I was telling Kerry earlier, I don't have a story about how for the last 10, 15, 20 plus years, somebody took my hand and showed me the ropes with this political climate, showed me where the bones were buried, showed me what I should do and this and that and the third. My decision to want to get involved in my community, I really feel like it was a tad bit of, if it was a drink, it'd be like, okay, yeah, let me get some obligation with a shot of the turn, what's the word I'm looking for? It was on the tip of my tongue. Motivation?
Destiny.
Destiny.
It would be just that. It would be, let me get a shot of obligation with a splash of, destiny. And for whatever reason, God saw fit to allow me to live for 35 years in a lifestyle that I can boldly say, hey, I'm running for 3rd District, not worrying about what background check y'all might find, not worried about what skeletons might be in my closet, never knowing that this would be my next step, and I feel like it's ordained. I just truly feel like it's ordained. So when I talk to members of Congress, when I talk to state reps or civic leaders or whatever, it's kind of ironic that the majority of people that I find myself talking to either got a haircut and had a life-changing moment from that. And I'm not saying it in a boisterous way, but I've met people that was like, Joey, I got a haircut, man, and I got that promotion. Or I met that new girl, or I met my wife, or I got married, or I had this huge special moment in life. And for whatever reason, God saw fit to allow that to be favor with these individuals. And I really took what he gave me, and because what he gave me was my blessings, and he allowed me to use it, and I learned at a young age to operate to your full capacity through your blessings. Like, I can't say it enough where, our family, when I say we come from the struggle, like you talking to a person who, we was kids, imagine a man getting killed, my mother, young woman, 3 sons, 2, 4, and 6, me being the youngest. Ain't too many family members got a house or a room ready for 4 of y'all to come in. So we was bouncing from shelter to shelter. Through strength, through faith, through family, through dedication, through all that. My mother overcame all that.
So that's why I don't say that I feel rushed. I feel determined.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, man? What's up, man? Yeah.
Can I get in that over here?
Yeah. You mic'd up, so you sit wherever you want to sit, man. You mic'd up. Good. Okay.
I'm gonna just come right here. Jay got me with the
Okay, actually.
Right. I'm over here chilling.
All right, man. Hey, undefeated in the kitchen, man.
Me?
Yeah, bro.
He said me.
But the question I asked him, and I kind of overheard, I was doing something, is do you feel anxiety from the need to constantly, like, if you don't, it's so sad, but it's like, if you don't exist on that world, you don't exist in a way. And, like, how do you balance Jayon Smith, the chef, with Chef Jay, the character?
Man, I actually been having those conversations a lot with a lot of people because I've been noticing that a lot of people want both. And for the longest time, and this is the one piece of advice that I've taken from Joy that I kind of realized that I had to get out of, actually, which was that whole, and y'all was kind of talking about this today, was being professional. What is being professional? Well, as I've been on my rise as this whole personal chef, but it's actually turned into an influencer, more of a chef personality is what people want from me. I've been sitting down with people in the top 2% of Kansas City, or I've been speaking with actual, you know, real life casting companies out in Hollywood, and they want more of my personality. They want more of this whole fun Chef Jay guy. This it's actually Jayon, you know, me just being me. You can look on my Instagram, I'm talking about sugar mamas, how I want one of those. Like, they love it. Like, they're engaged. I have actual business people that's messaging me, oh my God, I love you, I love this, and they're laughing at that. They're like, I want more of you. So
Are they, can I ask you a question? Are they two different people?
Chef Jayon and Jayon Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not anymore.
Not anymore. But at one point in time,
at
they
one
were
point,
branded
it
differently?
definitely was. It was more of, okay, I gotta be super professional. I have to carry myself this certain way. When I'm walking into cooking for these celebrities and athletes, I wasn't being me. I was being more of just not necessarily employee. I was being a robot. Let's just say that. So I was being a robot, and
because at that point in time, you thought that was professional presentation, and what you realized was that people actually liked you more for the personality that was just God given.
Exactly, and and actually that lesson came from DC Young Fly. That was one of the first people I got to work for, and it was backstage at a comedy show he did here. And when I brought the food in and was setting it up, I was super quiet. I'm talking about I was just putting everything where it's supposed to be. And he stopped me. He was like, hey, man, why ain't you talking? I'm just like, I mean, this is how I went. I'm like, spit it out, man. Like, that was literally him. So I bust out laughing. It was like, man, like, look, you ain't gotta be like that. We just people. For one, it was like, you're obviously here for a reason. My manager, you know, accepted this and wanted you to be here and cook. It's like, you don't have to be this whole guy that you're not just to impress us. Right. And especially if you get put in these situations, and he broke it down, he's like, I didn't find comedy. Comedy found me, and God put that in front of me. So if God is putting these situations in front of you, take advantage of it and be you. So that's really, it woke me up, and I don't have anxiety about separating Jayon and Chef Jay, because you're now gonna get this one person, and that's me all the time. So if you want Jayon, you want Chef Jay, that's what you get.
We'll start with you then, Kerry. One piece of advice you would leave behind to improve the experiences of tomorrow's generation.
Ooh, don't let your mind get soft.
I mean, one thing that I live by, man, is a quote that I was taught a long time ago, is what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?
To some degree, embrace fear and insecurities because they're a part of the process.
With this question, I thought about my students who I teach and like the generation I see all the time. And it's funny because I'm always telling them, like, just chill. Just chill. And so what I would put into the toolbox is identity is fluid.
Never let success get to your head, and never let failure get to your heart.
Well, I'll wrap all that up by saying, and I mean this in a very positive way, time will tell. That's what I keep telling myself. For good, bad, or indifference, time will tell. Yeah. They say that there are 3 levels of conversation. Level 1 is when people talk about other people. Level 2 is when people talk about events. There's nothing wrong with either of those, but this is Level 3 studio. Level 3 is when people talk about ideas and what is possible. Thank you all so much for joining us on another episode of Level 3 Studio, a.k.a. Chef Jay's Kitchen, a.k.a. Innovators Oasis, where the questions fed your mind, the food fed your body, and the experience fed your soul.